Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll talk about cats. So we have done this in the studio a couple different ways. One, we've like actually cut it out of cardboard. This was a cereal box cat. So I'm showing you this so you can take this idea if you really like these fun, funky cats and you want to do something else. This is a cereal box I cut out and then I painted with the patterns, but I did it with acrylic paint. Now you won't even be able to see this, but we also in the studio, wait, it's so giant. It's so big. Look, it's a giant cardboard one. So we've done them in big scale and small scale. And the reason I like it is because it takes a shape that is a rectangle. So it's just a rectangle and it turns it into something really fun and whimsical and your imagination can go wild. So if you can think of any rectangles in your house, so look, here's a paper towel, that's a rectangle. Or it could really be a cat. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw 2 rectangles on your paper, and a rectangle is going to have longer sides. So 2 rectangles. And we're going to make sure we get one done and the other we're just going to draw and let you, depending on time for class, you may do it on your own, but that gives you 2 options and then we're going to work to finish one cat for sure. So just draw 2 rectangles on your paper, pretty good size. I don't want them to be right next to each other so you can have a little bit of room for a tail to come over, but if they are, see how these guys jump in front of each other? Their tails touch anyway. I don't have a cat because I'm allergic to cats, but my daughter does. And I think cats kind of sometimes like other cats and sometimes they don't. But these cats all seem to like a lot. So, okay, we're going to study our cat here. And if you notice, it's pretty much in the shape of a rectangle. So if you start with a rectangle, you start with a cat. It's as though the cats are facing forward to us. So we only see their front paws and we see their tail coming from around back, but you just imagine the rest of their body. We see their face right here. So it's like more an oval right there. And then we see 2 ears. But what makes it a cat? It's really the tail and the ears and this face. So everything else is just whimsical pattern play. So Laurel Birch is this artist. She was a decorative artist, which meant she designed things to be printed on something a factory would make. So she would design cats to go on bags or purses or dishes, vases, things that you might put in your house, things that you might wear, or things that you might use. And so I like that because sometimes we think of art as only being in a museum, which I love museums. So go see a museum and go see art. But the other thing is you can have art around your house. Art is around us everywhere. So there are lots of applications for art. So rectangle cats, let's get to it. So I'm going to draw this one right here. We've got a shape. It's kind of like a teardrop or an upside down, maybe a candy corn since we just had. So we're going to start right here in our rectangle. And we're going to draw it all the way, touch the sides of your rectangle and come down and then come back around. Now you notice I start below the line because I need to leave room for my ears. And I might scooch this in a little bit closer for y'all so you can see our cats. And then you just kind of see it close by my nose and the drawing. Okay, so you see we've got this shape. So we're kind of doing the rounded top. So it's as though there's a rounded top right here. And then we've got the chin. Let's go ahead and do this one too. So we'll go ahead and get that shape in there. So this one, you're going to put that shape in. You can do it by rounding the top, or you can do it by drawing where it comes down and comes back up. So we've got a pair of cats. It's different from a pair of dogs. So I might have been lost on them. Okay. Let's go ahead and stick our ears in. Now the ears are all different shapes. You see some with triangles. They're all triangles. Some, the triangles move a little bit. Some triangles are more rounded. So put those in the corner. Any way you want to do them. You can have them be straight up triangles. They can be straight up in the corner. They can go like this. But you want to give those cat ears. And they're on either side. You can make them bigger, smaller. Just remember, we're staying in our rectangle. The only thing that's going to come out of our rectangle is our tail. And you want to think about when we're containing a shape like that, everything goes to the boundaries. So the feet are going to go to the boundaries. The boundaries are these lines. Everything goes to the boundaries. So we're going all the way to the ends. We're going to fill that rectangle. So our ears are going to touch the top or the side. Our head is going to touch the side. Our feet are going to be all the way over. And then our tail is going to be the only thing that comes out. So most important thing, cat eyes. And cat eyes are nice, big and oval with those centers and with a little slit for the pupil. So let's go ahead. And we kind of did this last week when we did our symmetrical tiger, as though one eye's on this side and one eye's on that. Underneath your ear, let's go ahead and give ourselves two big footballs. And try and space them about the same place right there. I'm up towards the top. We're going to do it on both sides. But not all the way up. We don't have to worry. In a human head, the eyes are halfway down the face. So all the way, if I go down here, you see my eyes are all the way down here. Lots of times people want to put in the human eye face, they want to put eyes way up here and a mouth way down here. But your eyes actually are right in the middle. Like my little happy face. Okay, so we've got our eyes. Let's go ahead and give our round part in there. Go ahead and draw a circle, and you're going top to bottom. You want to make sure that circle touches all parts, top to bottom right there. There you go. Starting to look a little bit like a cat. And then just give it a slit in the middle. You can just draw a little dash right there in the middle. Yeah. Okay. Now we've got our little noses and our whiskers and our mouth. Okay, and these are not realistic. We're taking the body parts that are on a cat, but we're not worried about, when we did our horse and we really shaded it and we got it, all this we're having fun with, but in order for it to look like an animal, you have to have the animal parts. You have to have the ears, the eyes, the tail. Okay, so right in between, looks like it has eyelids. So we're going to come over the eye, just like that. See what I'm doing there? Let's come over the eye. And then that's going to help start our nose. And then come straight down. Straight down. Leave some space at the bottom. And then give it a little triangle point right there. Okay. We're going to do the same thing over here. The good thing is if you miss it the first time, you get to kind of practice it the next time. So a little eyebrow, that's really the eyelids, but it kind of looks like an eyebrow a little bit. So bring those to the, and then bring it down, straight, straight, and then give yourself a triangle at the, it's kind of like a little arrow. Okay. So we should have ears in our rectangle body. We should have ears, a head, eyes, eyelids, and then the nose part. And we're doing two at a time. We're only going to really fully work up one, but we might have a little time to get into the other. But that way you can look at the drawing and think about how you might put patterns. Okay. So right here, we're going to give that nose. We're just going to draw as though that was a little ice cream cone. And it's just filled a little bit, or you ate most of it, and just a little hump goes over the top. Okay, see how our cat's kind of coming to play? Now from the bottom of our triangle, we're going to put a line out like that. And the bottom of this triangle, a line out like that. So it's curving out. So coming straight from the triangle, curve that line to the bottom of the face, and curve that line to the bottom of the face. See how we got our cat right there? And then you can give it some cat whiskers if you want. Now, I'm going to review this real quickly because I want you to see how easy, fast, and easy that was to do. So you can do this simple drawing, and if you want to use it as a doodle, the more you work at something, the better you get, and you'll start doing all sorts of fun stuff. So remember, we did kind of this teardrop shape. You can start with the curve, or you can start with doing this big dip like a valley. Teardrop shape, we did ears that went to the top. We did 2 footballs for the eyes. Remember, the footballs are important. You want it to come out to a point and come out to a point. So you want to have points on either side. We did the circle in the middle with the slits. We made 2 eyelids, eyebrows, 2 lines straight down with a triangle at the bottom, made the little nose, curve, curve, whiskers, whiskers. Okay. Shape, ears, eyes, eyelids, nose, mouth. So already you can do this regardless. If you just try doodling it off later today, or pick up a piece of paper and think, how do I draw that cat? Do that. And suddenly you'll have a cat and you'll think, oh, look at my doodle. So that's a good little play. Now, the nice thing is that's pretty much, other than our pattern, got legs and a tail. So right here, the way she does her legs is she comes all the way down. There's not really too much shape. And we basically come to the bottom of our rectangle, and we're going to make it look as though there's a little door. So just put arch up an opening and come up about as far as the head is. So about as tall as the head is about how far up the legs come. So like that. Don't worry about it being perfect. You see how hers are all different? Some are taller, some are skinnier. Depending on how wide your rectangle is, your little feet might be fatter, your little feet might be thinner. Then she has 3 little stripes in the bottom of each one. 1, 2, 3 to make them feel like a paw. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then she just rounds it. So you do that with your pencil if you want. If you were doing this on a cardboard cereal box, you could cut it out. But okay. So now you've got that. And now you get to add a tail. So notice her tails are all coming from one side. Your tails can come either side, whichever side you want. But the tails are basically, it's as though you're going to do a swoopty swirl, but you're going to come up as though you're making a circle, and you're going to come down and spiral in. So, and you don't want to go too far away from the body, and the tails start as though we came straight out. Well, that one starts a little bit low, but this one comes straight out from the legs. This one's lower, this one's straight out from the legs, that one's straight out, straight out. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So we're going to start it about where the legs are. So I'm going to take it as though I'm making a circle. So I'm curving around, but when I get here, I'm going to make a tiny circle. So I'm spiraling in like that. And then what we do is we do it again. So, and that way it is thick enough to become a tail. Like that. You can do this one the same way. So spiral out and come in. And there you go. So see, the tails are all different shapes. They can be thin, they can be big, they can be wide. What you want it to do is this shape is you're coming up, you're making a circle. And before you get a little over halfway, you bring it in and make a little spiral. So a little hook in there. Okay. And some of them spiral around like a little circle in it. And this one looks like a little hook. Kind of, there's a hook, there's a little hook, there's more of a spiral. So really, this is your cat. Okay, so we've got the shape of our cat. And remember what I said about the face. I'm being serious. Try and just doodle that. It'll be a little muscle memory. It'll help you kind of put things together and you'll be kind of excited you can draw a cat. So what I want you to do is I want you to get out your oil pastels. So I have a little variety here. And we are going to do some pattern making. And that'll give you a few times. So oil pastels are going to resist water. So we're going to use watercolor to fill in, and the oil pastels are going to be our line makers or our mark makers for our line. Oil pastels are a great medium. I have taught a lot of classes on oil pastels. I'm teaching like some 14-year-olds right now, and they're trying to do landscapes, and I'm showing them how to blend and work with these. The more you play with oil pastels, the more you can discover about them. They're a great medium that a lot of people just think of can be used like the way we're using them or like crayons, but truly you can develop these a lot. And the more you play with them and work with them, you can figure out about blending and that they mix, and you can create some beautiful pieces. So I encourage you also to play with your oil pastels. I am using a student grade, but I will show you what I actually use in the studio. These are mine from the studio. And if you are here in the studio and you're an upper level student, I'll let you use different ones, but you're just going to see how messy I am, and they're all falling on the floor. But like I really use them, so they get used a lot. But this is I get nothing from this company. If you really get into this, for some of the older students that join me, these are the best, most wonderful oil pastels and when you use them, they're very exciting. So, okay, back to whatever you have in front of you. Crayons will work today, whatever you have. I want you to notice the different patterns right here. We have circles and polka dots. We have diamonds and squares. We have lines that look like moving triangles and swoop and swirls. So I'm going to do some patterns on my first one, and then we're going to watercolor it. And then I have left a second one for you to get to do your own patterns and to finish out. So feel free I know I go speedy sometimes, but if for some reason you get ahead of me, you can start putting patterns on your other one, but just jump over. So we're going to try and take a little bit from all of these cats. So right here, we've got, I like these moving lines, so I'm going to save these for the bottom of the feet. But what I really like are these diamonds cutting in, and this diamond right at the top. Notice there are also shapes on their faces. So I like these little triangles coming in and little lines under here. That reminds me of our tiger. We've got some circles. So we're going to put all of those. The other thing is you can use any color you want to in your oil pastels. So grab one color, and you can use any color you want to on here, but I'm going to start with orange. So grab any color you want to, because this needs to be a very colorful cat. And I like that triangle line. So I'm going to put a triangle line right at the top here. And I'm going to second that line. So I'm going to put a second line right in there. Don't worry about anything being perfect. And while I have this line, I'm going to do these diamonds and triangles. So there's a diamond here. Oh, look, it's going to go behind my tail though, because my tail is blocking it. And I'm going to put, it's going to look like a triangle because I only see half my diamond. And I've got to start it to go behind the tail. This is the hard part right here. If you have to draw over the tail, you do it. You do whatever you need to do. So I've got my triangles up here. I've got triangles, which are part of my diamonds and part of my diamond. I'm going to draw a second line in there to mimic that shape, just like I did up above on the head. and one right in there. Okay. Now, let's see. How about we draw, I'm going to outline, draw a line outside of the ear. So just to the point, all the way, get me in there. And then I'm going to draw a line right inside of the ear. Okay. I feel pretty good about my orange. I may pick it up again. Let's see, what else do I have here on my table? How about a green? So I have a darker green. I'll use my light green at another time. See, I have two. I'm going to use this darker one. Let's see, let's go ahead and do a triangle inside. So just use a different color, whichever one you want to. I went to a green, kind of an emerald green. So, and I put a triangle on either side of there. And let's see, I like this circle on the face. So I'm going to do this. That looks like a little rainbow right there. See that? Okay. Also with oil pastels, know this, you can use top or bottom. And when I'm working with kids in oil pastels, I often take off a good bit of the wrapper, like this. Sometimes I'll leave some on there, but that way you can color on the side. You can put a lot of pressure and you can really use them. So don't worry if you take the wrappers off. Your art teacher said you could. Okay, so let's go ahead and put another, we're going to start putting some polka dots. How about that? So I'm going to put a line right here. Oh, I just broke my pastel. A line right here. And then I'm going to put some polka dots above it. So let's see, I put 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe part of 1, 7. I put 7. That works for me. You can put whatever you want. So I put a line here, and it's going to kind of start our movement there. And then I started doing the polka dot idea we have there. Okay, so you can have 27 polka dots if you want, but I put about 7 there. And I'm going to switch to another color. How about purple? Whichever color you want to use, it does not matter. In fact, if everyone's is different, that's even cooler. And I'm going to put a circle inside of a circle. So wherever you put your polka dots, I'm going to put a circle inside of there. Right here. And then let's see. What else do we have on top? I think I'm going to color in between the eye and our little line right there. Like I'm giving our cat some eyeshadow. There we go. Or just purple eyelids, either way. And let's see, what else? Let's go ahead and go over, since I did that, let's go ahead over his nose. Right there. And this part. I'll go ahead and make that purple. So we make sure that that's going to stay. And while we're here, let's go ahead and outline this. Go over our pencil line. I like the purple on here. Okay, so we've got his face and darkened in above his eyes. I might go over that other part of his eye right here. Okay, and we really have his eye and we did his face. That way we make sure that we won't lose our pencil. How shall I put some purple? How about some more lines? So you trace the face. And again, you can put your designs anywhere you want to. So I'm going to put a few purple lines across here and I'm making them wavy. Now remember, this is just, we're not worried about this space right here. That's in between the legs. So I'm just going to put a few wavy lines across the legs and underneath the green. Get ready for that. While I'm down here, I'm going to do the little paws. Whatever color you have, you can use. You see all the fun colors. None of the cats are the same. They're always all different. So at this point, you can keep adding. And again, if you've jumped ahead, you can start adding some over here. We've got green dots with purple insides. I've got some lines moving this way. I outlined the face and the eyes and I colored in between that line on the top. We have the ears with the triangles. We've got some diamonds and some squares. Okay, so I think we're going to switch to another color. Let's see what I have over here. Ooh, how about a blue? I need to take some off. A pretty blue. I like blue. So, and you can stick with the same pastel. It's whatever, because we're going to have more color with watercolor. So on the blue, I'm going to outline the tail here. Whatever color you have, go ahead and outline your tail. Go. Okay. And then let's see, I'm going to use the blue to add some more lines in here. Let's add our wavy lines, just making sure they only stay on the legs. Add a few of those. And maybe I'll make my whiskers blue. Oh. Now here's another tip. You can press lightly or darkly, but the harder you press or the more, or you can go back over it, the more resist it will have to the watercolor, meaning the more oil pastel you put on your paper. So if you press a little bit harder, or if you don't want to press hard and you just want to layer it up, you want to get as much of that when it feels real waxy. It's that oil pastel. You want to get as much of that on the paper because that's the part that says no to the watercolor. Okie doke. Now I think, let me find another color. Can't use the white, y'all won't be able to see it. How about, I have a pinky red. It's a pretty color. Okay, right here. I'm going to kind of go with this and put lots of little dots. So I'm just going to put some little dots all around here, however you want to put. And I'm going to sprinkle them in between my polka dots. So I've got those dots. And then I'm going to draw a line up here. So I took the red and I added some polka dots. You can add a few, you can add several. Oh, I'll add an extra one in here. And then I drew a line up here, almost like a superhero. Way up here, like it's the top where I touched it to the triangle. And I'm going to color in that little triangle at the tip of the nose. So we've worked on this one. You have this one. You can, at any time, if you are moving ahead or if you are trying to figure out what to do, you can try it out on your second cat. So if you're all done and while I'm talking, you're like, oh, I want to make some patterns, do what you want to on this one. This is yours to experiment with. I just wanted to emphasize the drawing pattern by making you do it twice. Okay, so I'm going to get my watercolors and my water together. If you have them all out and ready to go, then you are set. And again, when I'm using my watercolors, I've got a whole bevy of watercolors, but you see how many colors are in here. So you can use any color you want to. If I'm using orange and you go, oh, orange, but I really love this color pink, use that color pink. It's your cat, your artwork. And so let's do it. So I'm going to grab a brush here. I'm using a round today, about a medium size. So it's number 5 if you want to know, but all brush numbers are different. That's the problem. So unless you know the exact brand. So one color that really catches my eye on here is this light blue. So I'm going to start in with a light blue. So to do so, I take my pan of watercolor. If you're using a pan, if you're using tubes, just mix that up. But I'm going to add some good water to the top, and then I move my brush around on it because I'm working that pigment up. So there we go. And then I am going to color this area in. Now it's going to be a lot because we're just going to paint right. Look what happens when I paint right over those reds. It just fills them in. I'm going to fill in this area in between the diamonds, between the polka dots, and all the way up here. So see how that red just resists it and it won't, paint won't stick to it. So I'm going to color this, but I'm leaving I'm painting around my polka dots down here. So we're going to let those be different colors all the way up to here, painting my whole cat in. And you'll see how the paint just doesn't like to stick to where those oil pastels are. Leaving my diamonds. Okay. Oh, I painted inside those green ones. I didn't mean to. I just realized what I did, but don't worry, we'll paint over them. The best thing about paint, you can just change your mind all the time. So if you painted over yours too, don't worry, we'll paint over. Okay. So we want to get some color on there, and that helps us see where everything is. We've got our diamonds. All the way to our edge here. And got my light blue. So this is when you can say anything. Remember our tiger was all the bright colors last week, but it still felt like a tiger. And I don't really know any light blue cats that are actually light blue. I've seen some people dye their cats, but I don't recommend that. But in nature, you usually don't find any light blue cats, but in the art world, you can find all the light blue cats that you want to paint yourself. Okay, so I filled in the basic body of the cat. We've got our polka dots, we've got our diamonds still ready, we've got our head, and we've got our feet down here with our lines. So we'll be able to do those. The nice thing is you can paint right next to where it's wet because the oil pastel keeps it separate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the tail, and I'm going to start with one color and end with another. So you see how you've got a little bit of a gradient right here, or see where it goes from blue to green? I am going to go from purple to blue. So let me show you. I'm going to do it and then you can do it next. So I'm going to make sure my purple, or you can do it with me if you're ready to go. Make sure my purple is ready. And then I make sure my blue is ready. I'm going with a royal blue right here. You see my two colors? So I'm making sure there's plenty of water in my pan. Okay. So I get those all ready. So when you have your purple and your blue, or you can go, you want to do this with colors in the same color family. So there's blue, red and blue make purple. So blue going into purple makes sense. Yellow and blue make green. So green going into blue or blue going into green makes sense. Pink going into red makes sense because pink, red and white make pink. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue up here. And I'm going to fill in the top of the tail. There I go with my blue. And if you have to add more water, add more water. And then as I go, I'm going to grab some water and I'm going to switch to my purple. So, and I just blend it into the blue. And I switch to the purple. So I overlap them. So it goes from blue to purple. You want to just overlap them right there and there. And wherever the oil pastel is, you see how it doesn't stick to those areas right there? Look at that. Okay. While I have my purple wet, I think I'm going to fill in the insides of my purple circles. So I'm just going to come along and drop a little purple right in the middle there. Darken up those little purple dots. Like that. Give those a little. Okay. Okay. Let's get a few more colors. We definitely need some yellow. We've got a lot of yellow on her cat. She likes yellow. So, and we just did purple, and yellow is the complementary color to purple. So I'm going to get my pan and I'm going to get some yellow. You can get any color you want. Make sure I have plenty of yellow ready to go. And I'm going to fill in my diamond here in these first two parts. So going over right there. And this one, I just have one. So up to the, anywhere the orange lines are, up to the green. How about that? Right there. Yeah. Then I'm going to fill in the face. This part, not the green, and up to the red line. So. Okay. Okey-doke. I left the nose. I'm going to paint the nose the color that I paint up here. So I did the yellow inside here so we would have some contrast. And I did the yellow in the diamonds and I did the yellow on the face. I am going to take the yellow and do a few stripes down here. You can just pick which ones you want to do. And remember, you're leaving that space in the middle for those little kitty cat legs. So just do a couple stripes. Right there. Okay, we're getting there. Now, you can go crazy and you can keep filling it in, or you can follow along with me and you've got your second cat if you're just jumping on ahead. But I'm going to take like a pinky red now. She has a lot of red, but reds are hard in watercolor. It's a hard pigment to stabilize in watercolor. So, but a pinky red you can get. And I'm going to fill in this top area and the ears. Look at what that nice contrast does. Right here. And I'm going to go over my orange. My oil pastel is still there. It's showing up very clearly. I don't know if you can see it as well on the camera, but and then we've got our ears here. So I'm using that pinky red. And I'm going to do the nose right there down to the nose. I'll just make it touch. How about that? Then I'm going to fill in this in between the green. Add a lot of red. Oh, I got it over the line. That's okay. You can come back in with oil pastel. To get the mouth. Yeah, see what the difference? And then I'm going to take that pinky red and I'm going to put it in lots of spaces. So I'm going to put it in here and in the center of this diamond. You can put it in each polka dot if you want. Oh, yeah. That color is really popping on there, isn't it? So. And then I'm going to put it, we've got some stripes down here. So let's fill in some stripes. We've got one more color to do. So go ahead and leave a couple stripes for that last color. But fill in some stripes down here. How about I might do this. And maybe this top one right here. Yeah. I'll leave those bottom two stripes for which color haven't we done? Green. We're going to do green. Okay. In our rectangle cat. Who says cats aren't in rectangles? Okay. So you can pick any. I have several greens. I'm going to pick this nice bright green. And we're going to have a green-eyed cat. So I'm going to put green in the eye. There's our green-eyed cat. Hello. I'm going to put green in these circles. And then green in our lines below. And again, any colors. So remember where I painted those? We're just going to paint right over this. We've got all these. And then, we've got some stripes down here. So we'll go ahead and fill in the feet and the last, any stripes you have left. You can do in the green. Okay. And you end up with a very fun cat. Now, while you're finishing up your cats, when this dries, you can come back in and add more patterns. You can decide, oh, I wish I'd had a green line right there. You can always come back in and add a little more watercolor, add a little more oil pastel, but make sure you wait till it's dry because you can end up tearing your paper a little bit. So this gives you, remember, all these different shapes. You've got diamonds and circles and stripes and squares and swirls and zigzags and all sorts of fun things to create your second cat. You can go around your house, look at what you might be wearing on your clothes or what's on the bookshelf or what might be on a sweater laying next to you and see if you can put some of those patterns into your cat. The most important thing is doodle your face sometime this week. See if you remember how to doodle that cat face. know that all you have to do is tuck it into a rectangle.